What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, and this is a list that has taken me many nights to curate, but finally, with only one correction, this is 30 of my favorite films. Okay, not my 30 favorite, but 30 films that I love. I could watch at any time. I highly recommend. And we can just start with, I'm going to start from the bottom here and work my way up. Number one, and this is in no particular order, okay? We've got from 1986, directed by Oliver Stone, Platoon. I remember when I first watched, when I was really getting into like Vietnam films, like not like there's thousands of them. Like obviously there's more like sort of exploitation-y films, but I'm talking about movies that my dad would have been finding. You know what I mean? Full Metal Jacket, obviously Hamburger Hill. I remember a few other little cheesers, but Platoon is definitely the one that I think is my favorite, because when you have all these like really like ensemble cast with very lovable characters. I love both camps. I love the fucking Tom Berenger, Matt Dillon camp. I love Elias, fucking blanking on his name, Willem Dafoe's camp. I like all the camaraderie and all that stuff, and I always get a kick out of the part where it's very fucking like horrible, but when he basically beats that crippled guy's head in with the butt of his gun. And this right here, I'm only quoting the film. This does not reflect on my own beliefs, but he looks at him and goes, that's how the gook laughs. Like, Kevin Dillon, he's a maniac. Like, there's not many Kevin Dillon films that I can really recall other than The Blob and Platoon. I'm sure if I put some research into it, there's probably some other shit that I've seen, but Platoon is definitely on there. Obviously Charlie Sheen does his thing. Love Oliver Stone. Pretty much everything I've seen of his I love. I've recently, within the last couple of years, went on an Oliver Stone rampage and just watched a bunch of shit. Discovered JFK, loved JFK, and Natural Born Killers, obviously I love me some Wall Street. I'm trying to think of some of his other stuff, but it doesn't really come off the top of the head. Next we've got from 1993, directed by Taylor Hackford, Blood In, Blood Out. Vatos Locos Forever. My God, this is a movie I've talked about countless times. There's a standalone video on the channel talking about it, so I'm not going to go too in depth with that. But if you have like 3 hours to kill and you want to kill it in like the best way possible, Blood In, Blood Out. It is a amazing story of three cousins and basically their trials and tribulations from the time that they're teenagers up until when they're like grown adults and have their careers, and some criminal careers, some fucking legitimate or not so legitimate, and then one that's on the side of the law. But I just watched this recently. Absolutely love Blood In, Blood Out. I think one of my favorite scenes in the film is the scene on the hilltop where Paco, basically Paco and Miklo kill. Well, Paco just kind of like carves the Via Placasa on his chest. He's marked forever. But Miklo shoots Spider, the guy that gets, fucking like with a switchblade, like carved in his chest. That's my favorite scene of the whole film. And then I like later on in the film when Paco and Cruz have their like moment underneath, like at that painting on like by the LA River, I believe it is. Love all that banter. It's fucking awesome. I love, we come out chased by hounds. Like that whole speech is phenomenal. Cruz, amazing actor. There's a Facebook group, the Blood In, Blood Out Facebook group. Awesome, really cool stuff. But sometimes there's a lot of bullshit that gets posted there. But the odd time you see something on there that cracks you up. Blood In, Blood Out. Like it's too long of a movie to really get into here. Next we got from 1960, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho. Oh my God, absolutely love Psycho. It's one of my childhood favorites. A lot of movies, when I think about my childhood, they were the black and whites. And that's why I always had such a connection, like, not fucking actually, but like, with James Rolfe, because he had talked about like seeing all the old stuff first. And that's exactly how I experienced it for the most part. Like my dad had showed me, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Mummy, Night of the Living Dead, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Blob, so many countless fucking black and white flicks that and Psycho is just so like well produced and made. It's just chef's kiss, man. We got the story of Norman Bates, who plays a motel clerk. He owns a motel with his mother, and their house is up on top of the hill. We got this opening story with Janet Leigh, who's famously the mother of the chick from fucking Halloween, Laurie Strode. Whoever the fuck Laurie Strode is, the mother of Laurie Strode is en route after just stealing like 20 grand from some client of her boss's work. And you know, it's crazy because like it does like the 180 on you or whatever. Like it just kind of flips the script out of nowhere. Like you think it's going to be one kind of movie, and it's like no, this is some crazy stuff. And the character of Norman Bates, obviously the scene in the shower is one of the most iconic horror moments in history. And not only that, but there's such a memorable character in Norman Bates that, you know, it's hard to top him. And I wish I could see that movie for the first time, you know what I mean, like now that I'm an adult, you know, because like you know the twist, you know, if you've grown up on this shit. So Psycho. One thing about Psycho I really want to, I almost just forgot to mention, the scene where the detective, I forget his name, Albagast or something like that. There's a shot when right before he gets killed. It's like it's like up in the corner of this hallway. The stairs lead this way, and there's a doorway right here. And Norman Bates comes out of the bedroom, like from like in order to shield in order to shield the audience from knowing that it's Norman Bates, it's up in this high corner. Boom, comes out, stabs him. Arbogast goes down the stairs in like slow motion. It's so fucking good. It's so spooky too. That part always made me like fucking, I was always scared of certain parts when I was a kid. Like Shining is probably one of the best examples, when that fucking old lady comes out of the tub and like is laughing. We've talked about this on the Friday night smoke sessions and shit like that. Like, it fucking freaked me out because it's fucked. So Psycho. Moving along from 1966, directed by Sergio Leone. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. What a fantastic film. It is the third installment of the Man with No Name trilogy, or the Dollars trilogy as I like to call it. We've got the story of Clint Eastwood playing a good guy known as Blonde. He's the least scumbaggy of the trio, so he plays the good. Lee Van Cleef plays the bad, who's Angel Eyes. I love the name Angel Eyes. Blondie, Clint Eastwood playing Blondie. And then we've got Eli Wallach, who played Toyko, which is just he's the best scene in that film, other than like the standoff at the end, in my opinion, is the scene when he goes into the gun shop. He goes into this little general store, and you know, he goes up to the counter, and he's like the guy that's running the store is like about to leave, and he's like this old guy, and Toyko just has his fucking way with him, and it is awesome. It's so good. Like Toyko steals the show basically. I think that people think that it's like a really good Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah, it is, but it's a fucking Eli Wallach fucking movie, and it is awesome, man. Like that scene where he sees his brother at the makeshift military hospital for the Civil War, and he has that interaction with him, and then he lies about, you know, his brother, like later on, like to Blondie when they're driving off. Another really good Toyko scene is when he's in the bathtub, you know, and he shoots that guy that from the beginning of the film finally tracks him down, and he shoots him, and he goes, when you have to shoot, don't talk. Like that is phenomenal. Love that stuff. Plus there's tons of scenes I love with Angel Eyes at the beginning of the film, when he goes to the family, you know, eats the food and then fucking murders all the kids and the dad. But and Clint, obviously, like everything with him is phenomenal. Like, next, from 2003 and 2004 is directed by Quentin Tarantino, and we've got Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. So I put those together because I think of it as like one movie. When I watch them, I watch both of them. I'm not going to watch one of the fucking Kill Bill films. So it's the story of revenge. It's action-packed, fast-paced, badassery for the first one, and the second one, which is probably the one that I prefer some of the parts in the second one more than in the first one. But Michael Madsen is in the film, David Carradine. We've got Uma Thurman obviously as the bride. Gordon Liu makes an appearance. Sonny Chiba makes an appearance. Like, if you're a fucking Asian film fan, then you're gonna be like, dude, you're gonna be noticing shit, right? I think, I forget what her name is. Oren Ishii. I forget the name of the actress. Lucy Liu. I love her moment when she's at that fucking table of all those mob bosses and she cuts the one guy's head off, like, and the one guy's even like, oh, like it's right out of like a fucking like goofy fucking Asian film from the 70s, you know what I mean? I love it. I think it's really well done. I love the character of Pai Mei. I love the character of the bride. I love, you know, everything about it. I think Michael Madsen, I like when he goes into, he's working at a strip club and he goes in there and he's got to like clean some shit and all that stuff, but like I think it's cool. I think it's really cool, and I love how Michael Madsen gets killed in that film. It's pretty badass. And I like the character that wears the eye patch. I forget what her name is. So Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, love that shit. From 1935, directed by James Whale. The Bride of Frankenstein. There it is. I love The Bride of Frankenstein. I think it is like one of the best films ever. One of the best sequels for sure. I think it's a better sequel than Aliens. I think it's a better sequel than Terminator 2. I don't think it's a better sequel than Dawn of the Dead, but it's pretty fucking good, okay? So basically, we've got a second crack at the Frankenstein monster character and everything he goes through. Like, the best part of that film to me is when he goes and he finds that old man, you know, and he like basically, the old man like teaches him how to, you know, be a good person basically. And then you've got Pretorius, who's just like one of the best villains ever. I wish I had that actor's name offhand right now, but the scene where he's like just sitting in that like crypt and he's got all the flesh ripped off the bones and he's like laughing his ass off and he's drinking and he's smoking and he's going wild, and you get those crazy fucking shots of Frankenstein smoking a cigar, eating food, drinking booze. Like, he's just, it's so much fun. I love the old lady at the beginning of the film where, you know, the one that is saying, you know, the fire's not done yet, like the monster's still down there. That old lady looks exactly like my grandma, like my dad's mom, and like even kind of like is like just has a little bit of mannerisms of her. It's crazy, man. But always loved Bride of Frankenstein, and obviously Elsa Lanchester, who plays the bride, amazing. She doesn't have much to do in the film, but she's iconic looking, and the hair obviously is very iconic. So 1935 has to be Bride of Frankenstein. I feel like I've made videos about that, but 1973, directed by William Friedkin, The Exorcist. How could I not have The fucking Exorcist on this list? But see, I'm not being biased and putting that at the fucking beginning or at the end, because this is not like that is probably one of my favorite movie. And you know, the story of this little girl who's possessed by the devil, and it takes place like in this fucking Washington apartment, and it's so fucking scary. Like, I feel like there's way more non-scary moment, like non-scariness to the film than there is actual scary parts. But when it's scary, it's fucking terrifying. And I look at these movies, this like from when I was a kid, like watching these and being so just like terrified, you know, by the whole thing, like the whole fucking like fuck me, like all with that. Like, this was stuff that like granted, I love my dad, I love the guy, but he showed me stuff that I should have not been watching. Like, I mean, I don't know, Clockwork Orange, man, is the biggest like example, because we called that movie Bad Alex, and I was obsessed with Bad Alex, and I preferred you know, the first half or the first act of the film when it was fun, it was the droogs and all that stuff. When it got like more serious, like when he went to prison, and like after, like I liked the beginning and the end of the film. The prison stuff to me was boring when I was a kid. Now it's like some of my favorite shit. So oh shit, no, I was talking about fucking Exorcist, and I started talking about Clockwork Orange. So okay, so back to Exorcist. Absolutely love it. Violent, freaky. Actually, it's not too violent other than like a few moments, but it's just the thought. Like, this movie it's more than the movie to me. It's like the thought of like what happens to Reagan in the film, and like what the fuck if that happened to you, or you know what I mean? It's terrifying stuff. I've talked about Exorcist for ages, so I'm not gonna fucking milk that. Next, from 1978, directed by George Romero, Dawn of the Dead. When I think of Dawn of the Dead, I think of sitting there with my dad, smoking a fucking joint, and just having a laugh, because Dawn of the Dead is the one of, like, Exorcist is here, Dawn of the Dead is like here. Like, see how there's not much movement there? It is so good. It's more than a horror film. It's like a buddy film. It's a cop film. It's a biker film. It's all over the place. There's so many different moments, you know, even just like the trip they make from, you know, the apartment building, which is my favorite scene, is that siege in the beginning. I think that it is unbeatable. It's so good. I actually seen a version on YouTube recently that like, I wouldn't say it was extended, but it was like different cuts, or like it was different shot, like different, you know, like they took the shot maybe 10 times. It was a different shot than I'm used to. The version that I know and love is fucking somewhere here, but the double tape, I believe, Anchor Bay version of Dawn of the Dead. There's a chance that it could be downstairs, so I'm not gonna fucking sweat that. But Dawn of the Dead, Ken Foree plays like a SWAT team member that goes on the run with his buddy Roger, that he kind of just meets by chance after he fucking blows the head off one of Roger's partners. But they end up teaming up with this friend of Roger's who's like a helicopter pilot, and his pregnant wife. They go on the run, and they end up at this fucking mall, you know, and they raid the mall. Like the scene with like where they're like having fun, like in the arcade, and like they go in the gun shop and they just raid it for all the guns and stuff. It's so awesome. Like, parts of this movie feel like such a good time, and then other parts just feel like you feel bad. Like when Roger ends up dying, you know what I mean? And like Peter goes and he's fucking he like pops like they bury him in the mall, and then he goes over there and pops a champagne bottle, like has a drink with his buddy, because they had so much banter like throughout the film, like when Flyboy, Peter, and fucking Roger are like tossing back the bottle of Jack Daniels to each other, and like just all of that like buddy stuff. It's so good. And it's also freaky as fuck, because it has some of the scariest zombies that I can remember, like the red shirt zombie that's in the doorway. I always thought that guy was freaky as hell. I thought that the one chick, I think it was I think it was the one that ended up biting Roger, but like it was a blonde-haired zombie with like fucked up face. And obviously there was you know, I think there was a football player one. I don't know. Some of them were crazy. It wasn't as crazy as Day of the Dead, where there was like a clown one and all kind, like everyone was fucking bitten like while they were at work, basically. From 1984, directed by Wes Craven, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh my god, this is a movie I watched a million times. Love it. And you know, fuck the later sequels. I'm not saying I hate them. I don't need to ever watch them again, because I've seen them I've seen them in the last like 10 years, and I was totally turned off by them. So maybe in like another 10 years I'll give them a chance. But as far as Freddy Krueger goes, it's part 1, 2, and 3. The rest of them, eh. And I actually also really like New Nightmare. I like parts of that, and I also like Freddy vs. Jason, and that's basically as far as that goes. But the first Nightmare on Elm Street is so goddamn scary. You know, like everything about it is scary. Even like when Wes like tells the story, or I think Robert Englund is the one that I've heard tell the story, that Wes said when he was a kid, he looked out his window one night and there was like some fucking creepy old man walking down the street with like a dirty old hat. Always thought that was fucked up. But like in the movie, basically there's this guy, Freddy Krueger, who's revealed that later on in the film, it's revealed that he was a child killer that was burned by a bunch of parents in a boiler room. So he's come back from hell to haunt the parents that killed him's children's nightmares and stuff. And there's some deleted scenes that said that Heather Langenkamp, who plays like the final girl in the film, like she had a sibling, like the mother that's like a drunk, she exposed in a deleted scene says, you know, you weren't always an only child and this and that, and she's the one that has the glove and the fucking furnace. Like, it's fucked. It's crazy how that all gets started. But the scene where Tina is killed in the bedroom is insane. The scene where Johnny Depp is killed is insane. The scene where Rod, I forget what his actual name is, that is so fucked up, because like you're in prison, like that's like one, like you're in a prison cell by yourself, and like you finally get to go to sleep and you have a fucking nightmare, and then you get hung in that very prison cell. It is nuts. But the scene that scares me the most, that fucked me up, was that shot of Tina in the body bag out in the hallway, you know, like down the hall, like being dragged and all that stuff. And god damn. Yeah, so Nightmare on Elm Street, love Freddy, don't love what his character became, but I've recently watched the post-mortem episode with Robert Englund. There is a Wes Craven one. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched it in a long time, I should say. And I just, I don't know. I fucking love Robert Englund. I love them all. So, next from 1976, directed by Martin Scorsese. He's got a fucking name that's hard to pronounce, I think, sometimes. Taxi Driver. Oh, I fucking love Taxi Driver. I've drawn Taxi Driver multiple times. The character of Travis Bickle. I've painted him on a wall. I've done a painting based on the movie itself. I love it. Basically the story of a loner that goes and becomes a cab driver and just, you know, deals with all kinds of fucked up clients and, you know, weirdos. He befriends like this child prostitute he's trying to save. It's fucked up. Favorite scenes in the film. One of my favorite scenes is when he goes into the store and he like just got his guns. Like he buys these guns, which is my favorite scene probably. That's got to be my favorite scene, when he buys the guns from Easy Andy. But he goes in the store and he ends up capping this fucking guy that's robbing the place. I think that's one of my favorite scenes. And then obviously like the siege at the end, where he goes and just fucking just tears apart a motherfucking like building of ill repute. We'll leave it at that. I also love the scene where he's like making the hinge or whatever that he uses to shoot, or he like goes like that. Like it's something that my dad would make, like some weird homemade fucking slide thing. But yeah, Taxi Driver is monumental. There's even an appearance of our friend the Maniac, Joe Spinell, at the beginning. He's like, I was a Marine. Like, Joe Spinell's the man. Imagine if like just for a second, pretend that Joe Spinell was the Taxi Driver. Oh. Love that movie, 1976. Next we've got from 1978, we've got, directed by Tommy Chong and Lou Adler, Up in Smoke. Now, it was hard for me to pick. I wanted to have a Cheech and Chong film because I love Cheech and Chong, but it was hard for me to pick which one that I wanted to use, because it was like, should I use next movie? That's the one that I've seen first. I love it, but when I think of Up in Smoke, you know, or when I think of Cheech and Chong, I think of them in that van. I think of them in that car getting busted by the cops. You know what I mean? You just took the most acid I ever seen anybody take. Like, could you imagine being told that? Could you fucking imagine? And like, he's like, I never did no acid before, man. I never did no acid. Like, you know, I seen it. One guy did acid and he walks around and he goes, it's so funny because like, it's even like the beginning of the film where like Tommy Chong's he like leaves his parents' house and he like takes the Rolls Royce thing off of the family's Rolls Royce and puts it on his like little shitty car. And it's a good pothead film, man. It's a good movie to get high to and watch. It's, you know, Strawberry, the character, like the fucked up thing is like my homie Mike, if he watches this, like Strawberry is almost like you know, the one guy we know from our past that you know, is just like crazy and you can't like talk, like the guy that went goof at the, you know who I mean. Anyways, Up in Smoke. Favorite scene in the film, probably, like I said, the beginning, like the first, like, I would say the first 20 minutes of the film, I think, are my favorite personally. But once they get on the road, like once they get to Mexico and all that, and, you know, I love when Cheech is like walking around like that, like weed factory, and he's got to take a dump. And he's like oblivious to like all this pot everywhere. It's so fucking funny. Directed by Tommy Chong as well. Like Chong plays like such, like, I can talk a little bit about next movie because I really do love it. I love, you know, like that they're like, because they're established. You know what I mean? Like they live together it's not like them meeting, and like that's how I first discovered Cheech and Chong. Like at the beginning of the film when they're, you know, they're stealing that gas and they like fill an entire fucking garbage can full of gas, and you know, Cheech says one of my favorite lines. He's like, "This is the third time I'm late this week, and it's only Tuesday." Like what? Like it's ridiculous, man. I do love me some Cheech and Chong next movie. Still Smoking is probably my third favorite, and I know there's some other ones, but you know, you kind of really, I haven't watched some of those other ones in a long time, but I'll give him a chance again soon enough. Next, from 1981, directed by Gerald Potterton, we've got Heavy Metal, the animated fucking classic. Oh my god. Canadian classic, by the way. So we got an anthology film. It's jam-packed with amazing art, with amazing fucking creators behind it. Amazing voiceover cast from people like Eugene Levy, John Candy, Harold Ramis. Just tons of people, man. It is so good. And the story that I'll talk about real quick is the story of this New York City cab driver, like in the near future, where like aliens have came over, and it's like a total scumbag place. But he ends up meeting this chick that needs a ride, place to hide for a minute, and he ends up getting tangled in with her. It's sort of like a New York City kind of like love tale, you know what I mean? But everything about it is just so cool. And like the character of Harry Canyon, he's very much like Filthy Ralph. My character is inspired by a few people. So like Harry Canyon, Dr. Gonzo, the guy that Benicio del Toro's character in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and Scarface. That's fuck, I totally forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so the Harry, like, this is the thing, like I at the beginning of this I was like, I'm gonna get really fucking high and make this video, and now I'm so far into it that I have to keep going. I'm tripping. But yeah, so Harry Canyon, the Heavy Metal anthology, is so fucking good. The Den story is amazing. I love the last one. Used to be my least favorite because I thought it was like too long, and now when I watch the movie, I'm like waiting for that. Absolutely love Heavy Metal. Next, from 1980, directed by William Lustig, the Maniac himself makes his appearance on his own film, Joe Spinell. Absolute fucking smashing film. The story of a guy with problems, we'll just say. Like, I've talked about this movie before. There's a standalone video on the channel, but one thing I will mention about this, and we'll move on. When he meets that like chick that's the photographer or whatever, and he's just like, I don't even remember how he stumbles upon meeting her, but he all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, I'm a painter. I paint landscapes and portrait. Like he's like a George Costanza type guy all of a sudden. I always thought that. But favorite scene in Maniac is probably the scene with maybe the first prostitute that he meets, and just like strangles her, and like fucking strangles her hard, and he's crazy, man. I love I love the end scene, like the end scene where he has like the hallucination of being killed by all these fucking women that he's killed. Crazy stuff. William Lustig also did I believe he also did Maniac Cop. So that's crazy to have like a bunch of films with the first title of the first word of the title being Maniac. From 1982, directed by John Carpenter, we've got The Thing. Fucking love The Thing. Rob Bottin's special effects are phenomenal. Story of a bunch of scientists and just sort of like blue collar type engineers and stuff staying up in Antarctica, come across this let's just say fucked up phenomena of this dog stumbles upon their camp, which is crazy how that gets there, running across. If you've seen the prequel, like, because I seen the prequel, now I can't not think of that, but like how like from that other camp they fuck off over into the Americans, but basically Kurt Russell stars as what would you say, like he doesn't want to be the leader, but he gets tossed in like this leader position, and later it's questioned and stuff. But the scene that sticks out to me the most is like, in order to find out who this thing is, which is like a thing that will basically rip you apart, they use like this heated up, they take like a piece of wire, and they dip, like they all get a blood sample, and they dip it in to see if the blood reacts, and it does with one character, Palmer, and it's just, that whole scene is fucking crazy. And then at the end of it, the one guy, he goes, if it's not much trouble, I don't want to spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch. Love that shit, man. The Thing is so fucking good. I've made a video about that. If I haven't, that's a damn shame. Next, from 1973, directed by Robert Klaus, we have Enter the Dragon. Had to get a good kung fu film on here, and I thought about it long and hard, and I was like, you know what, Enter the Dragon is sort of like the golden standard of those types of films. It's not made by an Asian person or anything like that, but through and through, it's a fucking kung fu film. excuse me, I almost said Jet Li. Bruce Lee plays a character who's you know, a badass, and I believe his sister is killed, so he goes, he gets invited to this like fighting competition, and fucking, oh, I can't believe I forget his name. John Saxon is one of the guys that goes to this competition, and then there's one other guy that I cannot remember his name. Black dude, afro. Come on, what is his name? Yeah. Shit, dude. Wow, this is absolutely embarrassing. Shit. Anyways, that guy, Jim Brown? No, not Jim Brown. Is it Jim Brown? Oh no. Oh no, this is horrible. Do I have Enter the Dragon kicking anywhere? Fuck. Well, this video's shot. Are you fucking kidding me? See, this is why I need to get off my ass and actually fucking get this in, I'm pretty sure it was Jim Brown, honestly. This needs to be organized like this weekend, because this is a joke. Anyways, that fucking black guy is also invited, and I love all their stories that lead into them getting invited. So like when Bruce Lee is having his like flashback of his sister, like basically defending off like all these fucking assholes, cuts this guy's face, and he ends up facing that guy later on. But Jim Brown, I'm so sorry if it's not Jim Brown, but his character was like he was invited to this fight. He ends up beating the shit out of these cops like right before he leaves, and now he's like on the run. John Saxon is like a habitual gambler, and he has like fucks over the mob or some shit, and he's got to get the fuck out of there. It's crazy stuff. So they all end up going to this island that's run by this heroin kingpin basically, and he's got all these fights lined up. You got Bolo Young. There's quite a few other. I don't know who played Han, but he's a really interesting character. But it's a recommended film. It's a must watch. I would definitely say, if you want to watch it, like it's the best Bruce Lee film. Like I love Chinese Connection. Trust me, I love that fucking movie. But Enter the Dragon is a better film for sure. Next we've got, I just watched this recently, The Devil's Reject. Oh fuck, I just did it in the wrong way. From 2005, we've got, directed by Rob Zombie, The Devil's Rejects. Man, it is the follow-up film to his debut film, House of a Thousand Corpses. It stars, the movie's about these three characters that are on the run, and it is like the most insane on the run film ever. It's shot in 16. It looks awesome. It feels like a newsreel of like fucked up stuff that happened, especially that opening scene with like the shootout at the house. It's amazing. That might be one of my favorite scenes. I definitely love, at the hotel. That's very insane, very fucked up what happens at the hotel with Otis and the gun and that woman. That's the chick from Three's Company, which I've watched when I was a kid a lot with the old man. Devil's Rejects, I can't really say much about. I have a video about it. You can check that out if you want to see like in-depth thoughts on it. Next, from 1971, directed by Stanley Kubrick, we've got A Clockwork Orange, starring Malcolm McDowell. Basically one of the most fun fucking movies ever. Oh man, it's so good. Like even the book, I've read the book. It's phenomenal. I don't know where my book is, because I was looking at my shelves and I'm like, where the fuck are all my novels? They got to be either, well, they have to be in the basement basically. So, I got to go down to the basement and fucking fish around some boxes, find all my novels. Because I even said to Kayla recently, I was like, man, I want to like read some more. So I've been reading that Hunter Thompson book. I've been reading Yosagi Yojimbo, and it's just, I love reading. I feel like when I read like Dark Knight back in the day and like Watchmen and all that stuff, I was just trying to like jam as much of like the classic like 80s shit or whatever in my head. But now I'm like, no, sit there and enjoy it, man. Like the Yosagi Yojimbo, it's so cartoony and so good. Like it is so good. Everything about it I love. But yeah, so Clockwork Orange. Malcolm McDowell, he plays a leader of this gang of four other guys called Droogs. And it's basically about them going out wreaking havoc on places, raping, robbing, everything bad, stealing cars, drinking fucking drug-infused milk, which I always thought was crazy. Like fucking, when I was a kid, like I couldn't believe like that fucking statue of the chick and like her tit, like her nipple, like the milk came out of her nipple, and like the one guy who's like kind of dopey, dim, he's like, oh, rough night. Me too. He's like talking to this fucking thing, and it's crazy, man. But favorite scene in Clockwork Orange is probably the singing in the rain moment, like the first time he sings that song. And the character that's like on the floor with like the gag ball, like fucking having convulsions, like so fucked up. That is a fucked up scene, but it's such a good film. So 1971, Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange. Next, from 1972, we've got, directed by John Waters, Pink Flamingos. Now, you might not expect me to put a movie like Pink Flamingos on my like 30 of my favorite films, but it is honestly one of my favorites. I love it. I think it's very, I think John Waters, like I just recently watched Multiple Maniacs for the first time, and I think I might like that one more than fucking Pink Flamingos, just because I like that whole story of like this traveling group of psychos. I mean, Pink Flamingos is kind of like that as well. It's about this traveling group of psychos that want to be the most filthy people on the planet. Divine is this like over the top transvestite who's just totally fucking kick ass. Wields a gun, doesn't care, will steal steaks, shove her up her fucking in between her legs, steal some steaks, eat dog shit, like everything. It's so fucked up. And the first time I watched it was with my little brother, my mom, and my grandpa. And he watched it. My Uncle Mike had it. And my grandpa watched it. He said, "You guys have to see this. This is so fucked." So we watched it. He was obsessed with like the egg lady. Like, oh, it's fucked. Like there's a character that loves eggs so much that she ends up marrying the fucking egg man, who's like the milkman basically, but for eggs. It's fucked. Don't watch Pink Flamingos unless you can like really handle like you got to have a really in my opinion, you got to have a good sense of humor. Okay, I can't believe how fucking stoned I didn't even smoke that much, but like it's just enough to fucking, here's the ledge, here's the edge, this is the edge, and I'm like about to go right off of it. Next, from 1982, directed by Michael Winner, Death Wish 2. My favorite Death Wish film. I love it. I love Charles Bronson. I love this story. Like, to me, like it's the most fucked up thing that could happen. Like this trauma that they've all went through is like, it's not in the past, but like, the daughter's coming home and all that stuff, and what happens to her is so horrible. I love Death Wish 1. I love, Jeff Goldblum and those two other assholes, and goddamn rich cunts. I kill rich cunts. That's one of my favorite scenes in cinema history, period. But Death Wish 2, I just think, I don't know, I like what happens. It's sort of kind of like a slasher, but like we follow the slasher in a way. Kills a bunch of guys. Lawrence Fishburne's one of them. Even when like Lawrence Fishburne, like during like this whole fucking like rape of like gangbang that just happened, they're all sweating and stuff, but like he gets like the one girl, he gets the daughter to like suck his dick or whatever, and Lawrence Fishburne has like these fucking like totally early 1980s glasses, and he goes, "Yeah, doing nice," or something like that. It's so fucked. Such a good flick, man. Not for the weak of heart, but Death Wish 2 is phenomenal. Absolutely love it. I have the album on vinyl, actually. So next we've got from 1980, directed by Riki-oh Deodato, we've got Cannibal Holocaust, a film that a lot of people think is horrible and disgusting and fucked up. To me, I wish it was more fucked up. All right, I love it. The turtle scene, the only thing that would have made that turtle scene better is if it was like 20 turtles like fucking simultaneously getting their head cut off with something more fucked up like a dull spoon. I'm just joking, obviously, but like, I hate when people talk about this movie and they gotta say like, I don't like this movie. I love this movie, so fuck you and your fucking Citizen Kane. All right, I want to watch The Mummy from 1999 with Brendan Fraser before I watch some bullshit like that again. Although it was very cinematic in its techniques and very groundbreaking and stuff, I won't discount it for that. But anyways, Cannibal Holocaust is a story of this film crew that goes out to meet this tribe of I don't know if they know that they're cannibals at the beginning. It's been a while since I watched it, but they go to film this tribe, and in the like during all this madness, they end up fucking getting themselves killed because they're the assholes. They're killing their livestock, raping their women, all that stuff. Obviously, like the scene where like that woman gets like the rock beaten into her vagina and all that stuff, that is like a direct response to what that crew caused. You know what I mean? Because like the one guy's even like, it looks like a rudimentary punishment for adultery or something. It's like, yeah, because of you fuck. So hate all those. I love the movie, but I hate those fucking characters. They suck. And basically, the rest of the movie is about this film professor or some college professor going down there to find them, and he ends up finding all the film that they shot for this documentary, and he's trying to convince this production company to not use the film. And it's fucking crazy, man. It's a good film. I actually wrote a paper on it in college. I actually want to do a video where I talk about that. I've teased about making these fucking what's it called, videos, video essays, but I, and even like the next movie we're going to talk about, I've mentioned. So what one was I on? Cannibal Holocaust. Okay, yeah, so Cannibal Holocaust, phenomenal, and really recommended if you want to get into like good Italian cannibal films. Next we got from 1983, directed by Brian De Palma, Scarface, which is the other film that I've wrote a paper on. Absolutely love Scarface. Tony Montana is one of my favorite characters of all time. Inspired Filthy Ralph 100%. Especially like the scene where he's like, the chainsaw scene is my favorite scene in the whole film. That when he goes and meets Sosa for the first time, and then when he at the end of the film, the shootout is so fucking good. Scarface is the best, man. I absolutely love Manny. I love Chi-Chi. I love the scene where he goes and Frank gets killed, the lead up to that and all that stuff. When I was a kid, I didn't even really know all the words he was saying, but he goes, fuck Gaspar Gomez and fuck the fucking Diaz brothers. So I think when I was a kid, I was saying like Casper John, like Casper Gomez, like it was just fucked. But anyways, Scarface is definitely a violent film, but its most violent scene with that chainsaw, you don't even see chainsaw connecting with flesh. So it's a good trick, you know what I mean? If they had shown it, it probably would have been too much. I would welcome it, but you know what I mean? In order for them to get a pass in the ratings or whatever the fuck, so they don't get a rated X. But yeah, Scarface is like a 3-hour film. I think I have a video talking about it, so seek that out. Next we've got from 1980, directed by Lucio Fulci, City of the Living Dead, which is right here on fucking Blu-ray, which I don't know if you can see, but absolutely love City of the Living Dead. It is a phenomenal film. I feel like I keep saying phenomenal. I'm fucking stoned. It's kick-ass, all right? It's the one that I've watched the most other than Zombie, and it's the story of this priest that kills himself, and when he does this, it opens up this like portal to hell. And in the meantime, like in New York City, there's this medium that gets buried alive, much like Tarantino kind of Kill Bill Volume 2 shit happening there. But Christopher George digs her out of the fucking ground, and then they become a team. And then at the same time, this city, Dunwich, where this shit happened, there's like a psychologist or something. He teams up with one of his clients, and I don't know if it's his client or like just I don't know how the fuck they come together, but when they end up meeting together, like these two teams, instead of like having this drawn out thing of them like explaining everything, that it just shows like Christopher George sitting back on the couch going, well, that's what, and now we're here, or like that's what happened, you know what I mean? Like I just think that's a technique that new filmmakers need to fucking learn. You don't need to show every fucking thing. Next, from 1989, directed by John Woo, we've got The Killer. Chow Yun-fat, absolute fucking menace in this film. Love his character. I love Danny Lee's character. Basically, the story's about Chow Yun-fat plays a killer who ends up injuring this bar singer's eyes during like a gunfight, and it's about him trying to kind of get her help, get her eyes healed. And Danny Lee plays the cop trying to capture the killer, and it is just so fucking good. Favorite scene in the film? Probably the scene where like at the beginning of the film when he shoots up that card game. I think that's so awesome. It's like one of the best openings ever. So John Woo's The Killer. Next, from 1983, we've got, directed by David Cronenberg, we've got Videodrome, which is a fucking twisted flick about this TV show that like fucks with your mind and stuff, and it's run by this guy who only communicates through VHS recordings. It's twisted, man. It's got shit, I'm blanking on the actor's name. James, the guy that was in Cop. You know what? Videodrome is right here. Shout out to Radioactive Blobfield got me this fucking thing. James Woods, for fuck's sakes. He's the cocksucker from Casino. But anyways, he plays like the producer of this TV station. He's trying to get this show. It's real gonzo fucked up stuff. And the show itself is basically like just these torture scenes. It's fucked up, but the movie gets more fucked up when like the TV starts to kind of like move on its own, and like he sticks his whole head into the TV. He sticks a gun into his gut, a VHS tape into his gut. It's crazy. It's fucked up. It's awesome. Videodrome, Canadian body horror at its finest. One of my favorite films. It definitely had to be on the list. Next, from 1988, this is a documentary directed by Ron Mann. It's called Comic Book Confidential, and it really blew me away because I already knew about Robert Crumb. I didn't know about Spain, didn't know about fucking William Gaines, or like those EC guys. It's so fucking cool because basically it takes all these different cartoon artists, like cartoonists at the time, everyone from Jack Kirby to the chick that did How to Commit Suicide in South Africa. I forget what her name is, Sue Hill or Sue Ko or something like that. But there's like basically they take all these artists and they show on the screen like panels that they've done, like little stories, and they read them out. So like Gilbert Sheldon reads out a fucking Freak Brothers cartoon, and it's so awesome. Crumb, it's always good to see like old Crumb videos. Like in the documentary, there's like old 8mm black and white footage of them with like Spain and S. Clay Wilson and like all these fucking kick-ass artists. Harvey Kurtzman, like all these guys. It's so radical, man. Harvey Kurtzman is in the fucking he's interviewed in the documentary because he's the guy that made Mad Magazine. So definitely check that flick out from 1988. It also came out with a promotional comic that I found recently. It's in a haul video a while ago, but really radical. It's a cool score. Next, from 1968, directed by Franklin Schaffner, we've got Planet of the Apes, which is a childhood classic. Watched it with my dad a million times. Charlton Heston plays an astronaut that they crash land on this planet in the future, and there's a twist at the end that everybody should already probably know. I mean, it's on the fucking cover of the DVD that I got, I think. I wonder if it is. I wonder if I can find that. That's a joke. Oh, wait, maybe not. Oh, there it is. No fucking way. Is it on the cover? It's actually not on the cover. Not on the cover of this edition. Absolutely fucking love Planet of the Apes, though. Charlton Heston gets captured by these apes, and they end up fucking just hold him in a cage and stuff, and he ends up befriending like this couple and their fucking little nephew. What's the nephew's name? Lucius or something like that. And he's just like a little wisecracking kid. Like Charlton Heston is such a good. I love Charlton Heston. First of all, Omega. It was between this and Omega Man, because I love Omega Man, but Planet of the Apes is just so fucking good. My favorite scene is like when they finally find that waterfall in the first act, and then their clothes get stolen, and like everything from that, like boom, like the even that noise, da 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 da. It's fucking scary shit, man. Running through the cornfields and stuff, and when he goes into that one museum and sees his buddy that's like fucking a statue, and like later on he sees the other guy and his head's all cut open, and it's like, you cut him open and fucked with his brain, you bloody baboon. Planet of the Apes is so fucking good. And obviously at the end, like the twist at the end is crazy. Like I've seen that movie like before I can remember, so I don't even really remember like my dad explaining that. It just kind of came to me like, okay, it's Earth. Next, from 1983, directed by Tony Silver, is another documentary called Style Wars, which is all about hip-hop culture, the early 1980s. So graffiti, breakdancing, not so much emceeing, but like the graffiti part is the stuff I love the most. We get to see scene paint, scheme. T-Kid was supposed to be like actually narrate the film apparently, but he didn't. Cap, one of like the biggest fucking like selling points of the film is like that guy. He does not give a fuck. And watch the special features as well, because he's in that a lot, like at this gallery, and he's like doesn't have the mustache. He looks like a little kid, but he's still like that fucking like New York guy, you know what I mean? Like, I'll fucking kick the shit out of him. Like that kind of guy. I love it. Min One, obviously, fucking Zephyr. I'm trying to think of some other writers I really love in that. It's amazing. Dondi, of course. So I recommend Style Wars if you love graffiti, if you love early, like late 70s, early 80s New York culture, or like shit that looks like it's so fucking good. Case One, obviously I forgot. I'll rest in peace to Case One. Rest in peace to DJ K-Slay, who is Desi. So next, from 1975, directed by Dario Argento, we have Deep Red, which is a film I didn't really discover until the last couple of years, and I just fell in love with it. I've got it here somewhere. Right here. I've actually got a fucking PAL region that I fucking bought by mistake, but I've also got this 4K of it that I've yet to watch. It actually has a poster in it that I want to hang up in this room, so stay tuned for that. I actually don't have much to comment on that film because I'm due for a rewatch, but I had to put an Argento on there, and I was like, okay, I could put, like, I had to go back and like kind of rewatch my videos that I made, and I was like, okay, I'm going with Deep Red because it's definitely the one that sticks out the most to me. Also, Four Flies on Grey Velvet was also a contender because I absolutely loved that one. I loved like the beginning, like where that guy is framed, but there's like that guy taking the photos. That's so fucked. Like, these Italian filmmakers, they don't realize back in those days they made stuff where just like one single shot, like one shot of the camera is iconic as fuck. And it didn't, like, it, I don't know. Deep Red, man, leave it at that. Next, from 1979, we've got, directed by Walter Hill, Warriors, Come Out and Play. Absolutely love the fucking Warriors, man. The movie is about 9 gang members going to this big meeting up in the Bronx with 9 gang members from every other gang in the city, basically, except for the orphans and some other assholes. But shit goes haywire, and they got to make their way back to Coney Island, which is like the exact opposite side of New York City. So, you know, Rockstar made a video game about this. It's phenomenal. It's probably one of the best video games ever, and it's probably one of the best movies ever. So, Warriors, man. Favorite scene, maybe the baseball fight in the park, baseball bat fight in the park with the baseball furies. I love the scene with the orphans. You know, I love the scene where they're running from the Turnbull ACs, man. Like, kids that played Warriors on fucking PS2 knew about the boppers and the hi-hats and the fucking the electric eliminators. I'm trying to think of some other ones. The Saracens, like all those characters you see like in the opening of the Warriors, like you get to learn about those gangs. It's awesome. So the last movie on the list, what could it possibly be? Well, it's the only film on the list that's from the 50s, I think, and it is directed by John Huston from 1956. We've got Moby Dick, starring Gregory Peck as Captain Ahab. I absolutely love this film. It's one of my favorite films. I watched it with my dad when I was a kid, watched it with my dad when I was growing up, watched it with my little brother. You know, basically, I'm in love with the film. I love, you know, I tried to read the book, like the actual Herman Melville book, but it was just too Victorian in the language for me. Like, maybe I could give it a try again, but it's a tough one, man. But I love the character of Queequeg, who's this huge fucking like native dude that carries a spear, and he befriends this little tiny Irishman guy named Ishmael, and they join this boat captained by Ahab, and they go out to kill sperm whales for the oil, right? And Captain Ahab actually has like a vendetta against this white sperm whale that fucking bit off his leg, and he's actually after that whale, not really after the, you know, like the oil. So he convinces everyone, let's fucking go kill this whale. And at the end of the film, you know, a prophecy is fulfilled, basically. There's a character earlier on that, you know, sees Ishmael and Queequeg going on to the Pequod, which is the name of the boat. And he's like, you know, something bad's gonna happen, and Ahab will beckon. And at the end, Ahab is beckoning, and it is fucking eerie. It's an eerie film, and it like looks eerie. Like, there's really fun parts, but then there's parts that are like fucking scary, and then parts that are just like mental and twisted. So one of the scenes that I love the most is like they got to make like new spears, basically, and he's like, will you men give as much blood as needed to temper the steel? Like, so, and they're all like going crazy. They're like, yeah. Like, if you see that part, like all of them are going nuts. It's crazy. Even like Ishmael's going fucking crazy. So really recommend that film. I love, basically, I don't want to give away the end, but I will say that Ishmael is floating on a coffin at the end of the film, and like the whole lead up to the coffin thing, I love it. Love the film. So there you have it. My voice couldn't be my throat is as dry as a fucking nun's cunt. I need a drink. I appreciate everybody that stuck through to the end. This was my 30 of my favorite films. So here's where all the shameless plugs and promotion goes. Anybody that wants to get the full run of Cinema 187, my exploitation and horror art zine art book, all 5 issues are currently in print. You can message me at cinema.187 on Instagram. And if you're watching this video before March 11th of 2024, you can enter a contest to win all 5 of my comics: Blood Drunk, Filthy Ralph strips 1 and 2, and then Filthy Ralph issue 1 and 2. Go on the channel and check out the video called My Filthy Comics Giveaway, and you can enter in that by leaving a question in the comments. And I'm going to be filming a video reading all the questions, and then I'm going to be posting it with the winner on May 12th, 2024. So 666, adios. Buy the zines, don't buy the zines, whatever. I'm making them regardless. All right, next issue is issue 666. Theme is satanic horror. I need a drink.